The House will come to order. Today, the Pledge of Allegiance will be said by Representative Hamrick, House District 61.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Schiebel, please call the roll.
Representatives Amabile, Armagost, Bacon, Byrd, Bockenfeld, Basenecker, Bottoms. It's here. Bradfield, Bradley. Oh, Bradley is excused today. Brown. Representative Brown.
Excused.
Catlin. Doherty. DeGraff. Degree Kennedy. Rep. Degree Kennedy.
Excused.
Dixon. Duran. English is excused. Epps. Representative Epps. Rep. Epps is excused. Evans. Frizzell. Froelich. Garcia. Representative Garcia. Oh. Gonzalez Gutierrez. Hamrick. Hartsook. Herod. Rep. Herod. Herod's excused. Holtorf. Judah. Rep. Judah. Joseph. Kip. Leader. Lindsay. Linstead. Luck. Rep. Luck. Luck's excused. Lukens. Representative Lukens. Lukens is excused. Lynch. Mabry. Marshall. Martinez. Morrow. McCormick. McLaughlin. Michelson Janae. Ortiz. Parenti. Puglisi. Ricks. Representative Ricks is excused. Sharbini. Sirota is excused. Snyder. Soper. Story. Taggart. Titone. Rep. Titone. Titone's excused. Valdez. Velasco. Vigil. Weinberg. Weissman. Wilford. Wilson. Winter. Woodrow. Young. And Madam Speaker.
Members, with 57 present, 8 excused, we do have a quorum. Representative Hamrick. We have a visual. Representative Hamrick.
Aw, thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is Matthew. He is one of my beloved grandsons. He just turned 3. And he wants to have faith in all of us that we can come together and vote for something in a wonderful way. So with that, Madam Speaker, I move that the Journal of Friday, March 17th, 2023 be approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk.
Members, you have heard the motion, and this is for the 3-year-old, that the journal be approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Well done. All those opposed, no? No! The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Announcements and introductions. Representative McLaughlin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Education Committee, heads up. We are meeting at a different time next week. So write on your calendar that April 3rd, room 107 at 1:30. We are listening to Senate Bill 76, 85, 87, and 94. So just to let you know, Education Committee next Monday. This is a different time for us, 1:30. Thanks.
Thank you. Representative Young.
Thank you, Madam Speakers. Colleagues, Representative Armagast and I are happy to welcome to the Colorado State Capitol a delegation from our home districts in Greeley. We are joined this morning by local elected officials and leaders in business, education, and the communities of northern Colorado. Greeley is Colorado's 10th most populous city, and it is projected to be among the fastest growing cities in the United States by 2060. As the city and the region look to the future, leaders are exploring ways to reimagine Greeley, from pursuing innovations in transportation to redesigning physical spaces to foster collaboration. At the same time, Greeley continues to embrace its rich history as a unique and special place. Agriculture, renewable energy, food processing, oil and gas extraction, and manufacturing are the foundation of the region's economy. Greeley is also home to an expansive network of healthcare providers and a strong pre-K through post-secondary educational ecosystem. The leaders who are here today exemplify the community's collective spirit. I would like you all to stand. The delegation includes representatives from the city of Greeley, the Greeley area. Yes, Greeley, please stand and be counted. The delegation includes representatives from the city of Greeley, the Greeley Area Chamber of Commerce, the Greeley-Evans School District, the Greeley Downtown Development Authority, Ames Community College, and the University of Northern Colorado.
Representative Armagast.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yes, as my old stomping grounds growing up in Greeley a few years ago, it's great to see what Greeley has transitioned from to what it is now, and thankful to the leaders and Northern Colorado's higher education with University of Northern Colorado and Ames Community College here today as well. Thank you all for the leaders of Greeley to be here this morning, and we're happy and proud to recognize you. Thank you.
One more round of applause for the Greeley delegation. Thank you. Thank you.
Representative McCormick.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wanted to make two announcements. One is that Agriculture, Water, and Natural Resources Committee will be meeting today at 1:30 downstairs, hearing Senate Bill 152 and House Bill 1220. And also, I wanted everyone to know that this week is Ag Week, and this is important for all of us to understand that we don't just celebrate ag on one particular day or one particular week, but pay attention to all of the activities that are happening this week. Wednesday in particular will be Colorado Agriculture Day, and we look forward to hearing about all the great ag things that are happening in each and every one of our 64 counties. So wanted to wave my colleagues up here, so great, because we're all in this together. We all really appreciate what ag does for our state and for our families.
Representative Catlin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's an honor to serve with you this week again.
It is an honor to serve with you this week and always, Representative Catlin.
Thank you, ma'am. Well, you know, with Agriculture Week coming up, it's something for each and every one of us to think about. One of the things I'd like you to pay attention to for the rest of the week is what's on your fork. I don't think anybody's listening, Madam Chair.
Or spoon.
More particularly,
Thank you, Representative Catlin. I will ask everyone to take conversations to the side. And forks are important utensils. Please proceed.
thank you, Madam Speaker. No, honestly, we talk about agriculture. It gets a lot of platitudes. We talk about how good it is, what we do out at the edge of town. It keeps the view looking wonderful. But in reality, what it is Colorado. Colorado is a high producer of agricultural products, extremely high value and extremely high quality. So it is a little joke, but in reality, we have gotten to the point as a nation that food security, and those type of things have become a luxury. We're not like some of the countries that have been hungry in their past. We're not like people that are hungry today around this world. Colorado agriculture has done a great deal for the future and the benefit of Colorado. You know, I'm in ag, so it's one of those things, but one of the things that I really have a lot of respect for are people who can coax a living up out of the ground on an annual basis and bring that renewable revenue into the state of Colorado. You know, when you drive by a field of corn sometime and you see those rows, those little tiny corn about that tall, think to yourself, that's worth 2 pennies apiece to the state of Colorado. That's an amazing amount of corn in this state and an awful lot of money. Agriculture does things for us that we don't really even think about. It gives us an environment, it gives us wetlands, it gives us the things that keep this nation alive. Let alone producing your food and your fiber, they're out there holding your communities together. This is a great week. If you get an opportunity, hug a farmer. Thank you.
Representative Catlin, pure poetry, coaxing a living out of the ground. Thank you. Thank you, members. Representative Woodrow.
Thank you, members. House State Civic, Military, and Veterans Affairs Committee will be meeting in the Old State Library at 1:30 to hear Senate Bill 169. Old State Library, 1:30.
Representative Snyder.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And House Finance will be meeting at 1:30 today to hear 3 bills: House Bill 1240, Senate Bill 52, Senate Bill 143. Thank you.
Thank you. Representatives Ortiz and Holtorf.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm here with the Veterans Caucus to announce that we are holding a Veterans Caucus meeting upon adjournment in room 109 in the basement. We invite everybody to come down. We're going to have, I believe, 3 or 4 presenters. We're going to use the committee limit of 3 minutes per presentation. And then we're going to talk about...
Representative Ortiz.
We're going to be discussing things that we're trying to do with the budget to make sure we're storing funds from the Fort Logan land sale and programs that we want to support. We're also going to be discussing priorities that we want to bring forward next year.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Representative Winter.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So in spirit of Agriculture Week, if you all don't mind, every day this week I'm going to read a little fun fact out of a different county in my district. So in Otero County, a heavy hitter in Colorado agriculture, Otero County's Rocky Ford region is famous. Ask any Coloradan what they think of when they hear Rocky Ford, and they'll tell you melons. The Rocky Ford cantaloupe has been a point of pride for the region for more than 130 years. One of the founders of the Rocky Ford melon industry, George W. Swink, moved to southern Colorado in 1871, where he quickly saw the region's farming potential. Swink helped construct essential irrigation ditch and canal routes, transforming the region into an agricultural powerhouse. The dramatic day-to-night temperature fluctuations make Rocky Ford's cantaloupe and watermelons some of the sweetest in the nation. Swink introduced honeybees in 1878, which proved crucial to pollinating mass amounts of melon crops, and established Melon Day, a festival which grew into the Arkansas Valley Fair, the oldest continuous fair in Colorado. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Luck.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just to follow up on the representative who just spoke, Otero County was in my district last year, and so I just want to highlight a little bit more the Arkansas Valley Fair, because it is an amazing time, and if you enjoy spitting watermelon seeds, there is a contest that you can participate in, and so I encourage you to go down and enjoy the watermelon and enjoy the festivities, because you never do know what you're going to find.
Thank you. Representative Bradfield.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here to announce that tomorrow morning, starting at 7:15, is the Legislator Bible Study down in 0109, 7:15. Hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Byrd. We have a tribute, members.
Thank you. I ask that our tribute be read at length.
Mr. Schiebel, please read our tribute.
The House of Representatives convened in the 74th General Assembly hereby recognizes Nowruz, marking the Persian New Year. The cultural observance of Nowruz is nature-based and promotes social and environmental equality, as it reminds all who celebrate to think, speak, and do positive deeds, contributing to the world. March 20th, 2023 is recognized as Nowruz Day, marking new beginnings as spring begins, and all set intentions for love, health, abundance, beauty, reflection, growth, joy, and enlightenment, and connect the Iranian American community to the community at large. Iranian Americans living in Colorado, as well as all global citizens, are connected to the people and culture of Iran via tangible and intangible World Heritage assets. March is to be recognized as a time to honor Nowruz and celebrate the Persian New Year. On request of Representatives Shannon Byrd and Iman Judah, given this 20th day of March 2023, State Capitol, Denver.
Representative Judah.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, today we stand before you to celebrate Nowruz, which marks a traditional Iranian New Year that has been celebrated for more than 3,000 years and dates back to ancient Persia. Nowruz, which means new day in Farsi, and many other languages, marks the arrival of spring and is celebrated by the vernal equinox. This holiday is also celebrated by hundreds of millions of others around the world, including in Afghanistan and all over Central Asia, by Kurds and the people as far east as Western China and as far west as Albania, and including those of Muslim, Jewish, Christian, Baha'i, Zoroastrian, and secular backgrounds. I also stand before you to recognize the bravery of the people of Iran who have been standing up for women's rights against authoritarianism, as well as the tens of thousands of Coloradans of Iranian descent who have made numerous social, economic, and cultural impacts on our state. I wish those around the world who observe this holiday a year of peace, prosperity, and religious tolerance as embodied in the spirit of Nowruz.
Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I am so honored to bring this tribute forward today. I first became aware of the Persian cultural circles when I was a city councilor in Westminster and was able to see the incredible work that this committed group of people did in bringing the arts and culture and community, not just to Westminster, but to the metro area. They have brought Persian culture to all of us, and I really want to just take a moment for us all to think about all that our Persian brothers and sisters have brought to all of us. They've had incredible impact on the arts, architecture, poetry, science, technology, medicine, philosophy, and engineering. All of these things, these great people have continued to share with us and continue to make immeasurable impact in all of our communities. So I'm very honored to bring this to you today. And thank you for your attention. And I will just add one last thing, which I'm going to say something that means woman, life, freedom. Zan Zendegi Azadi. Thank you for your attention this morning.
Thank you. Seeing no further announcements, Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to proceed out of order for immediate consideration of House Joint Resolution 1019.
Members, you've heard the motion. Seeing no objection, we will proceed out of order for immediate consideration of House Joint Resolution 1019. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Joint Resolution 1019.
House Joint Resolution 1019 by Representatives Mabry and Velasco, also Senators Gonzalez and Rodriguez, concerning the recognition of Latino, Latina, Latine, and Latino X Advocacy Day.
Representative Mabry.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It is an honor to serve with you.
And an honor to serve with you.
Madam Speaker, I move House Joint Resolution 231019 and ask that it be read at length.
Mr. Schiebel, please read our resolution at length.
Whereas Latino, Latina, Latine, and Latinx Advocacy Day, or LAD, celebrates 17 years of engaging Latinos from across Colorado to advocate for change in state policy. LAD's legacy has amplified Latino voices across the state of Colorado to speak on the structural inequities that have historically plagued their communities. Their voices have been critical in advancing policies to improve the lives and economic well-being of current and future generations of all Coloradans. And whereas Latinos are a key part of Colorado's constituency, with communities hailing from Mexico, Central America, the Caribbean, and South America, Latinos have persevered through adverse experiences, making their presence revolutionary in itself. Their organizing efforts have played a crucial role in building momentum across various spectrums and all segments of society as educators, artists, community organizers, healthcare workers, elected officials, small business owners, and farmers, among the many lives that contribute to our vibrant and diverse Colorado communities. And whereas engaging Latinos in the political process ensures that the voices and lived experiences of all Coloradans are respected and honored, and helps create policies that impact the daily lives of people in their communities across the state. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the 74th General Assembly of the State of Colorado, the Senate concurring herein, that we, the members of the Colorado General Assembly, recognize the achievements of the Latino, Latina, Latine, and Latinx community in politics and honor their contributions to Colorado's long history of political engagement and the policymaking process. And that we pay tribute to past and current Latino, Latina, Latine, and Latinx Advocacy Day participants who have traveled to the Colorado State Capitol from across Colorado to ensure representation and the just treatment of Latino, Latina, Latine, and Latinx communities in Colorado.
Representative Mabry.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, the Colorado Democratic Latino Caucus is very honored to bring this joint resolution celebrating Latino Advocacy Day. Today is Latino Advocacy Day, and we are proud to report that there are more than 100 members from the Latino community across the state here to talk to us. So we really encourage you to talk to folks about the concerns that they're bringing from their communities. A very large portion, I believe it was more than 60 folks, are from more rural parts of the state. And so we're super excited to have them here sharing their perspective, sharing with you about the issues that are impacting their communities from Denver to the Western Slope to the San Luis Valley. You know, the organizations that are here today play such pivotal roles in their community, and just want to shout out Voces Unidas, Calor, Protégete, which is a part of Conservation Colorado, and Claro for all of their work in organizing this important event. These folks are here to talk to you about workers' rights, housing justice, climate justice, and how the work that we do impacts them and their communities.
Representative Velasco.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. And I also want to give a shout out to school board member and school board director, vice president of RE1 School District in Garfield County, Jasmine Ramirez, who is here for Latino Advocacy Day. If you could please stand. And thank you so much to our Latino members who are here today. They're here to talk to you, to advocate for the issues that impact our communities. So please give them a minute of your time. And thank you so much.
Representative Garcia.
Madam Speaker, es muy chido servir con usted.
It is very chido to serve with you as well.
Members, I just wanted to share a little bit more of the history of Latino Advocacy Day. This is the 17th year that Latino Advocacy Day is happening. The individuals that are coming from Latino Advocacy Day today, some have been here every single year, and some this is their very first time ever stepping foot in this Capitol. Like most advocacy days that we see come through the Capitol, we know that advocacy days are what spark excitement and being civically engaged. And a lot of that excitement comes from how we interact and receive and speak with and answer questions with our constituents. I'm so excited that we are going to see one of the largest groups of Latinos ever in this building in one single day today. And I am just so grateful that I can proudly say that I have been part of 16 Latino Advocacy Days. And this year, proud to be able to be one of the legislators welcoming constituents, talking about policy. And I am just overjoyed. So thank you so much.
Representative Velasco.
Muchas gracias a todas las participantes y los miembros de nuestra comunidad que nos están visitando hoy alrededor de todo Colorado. Muchas gracias por venir y aquí está su casa. Siéntanse bienvenidos.
Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to recognize the people that are actually here in the chamber with us today. As we said, there are many that are coming over, crossing the street and coming over to meet with you all, but we do have some folks here representing the communities that are here with us today, and I'd like for you to stand and be recognized, please, by the body.
Thank you, members. Members, the motion before us is the adoption. Representative Bottoms.
I appreciate greatly, thank you, Madam Speaker. I appreciate greatly the focus on the Latino community. I pastored a Latino church for quite a few years ago, and a lot of great people. I worked with a lot of the migrant workers in the area, and I appreciate that. I wanted to recognize somebody that I think is kind of a standout in the Latin community that just happened here. A previous representative that we had here, Dave Williams, he was the first Latino ever elected into District 15, which is my district, and he was just recently elected to the highest seat in our Republican part of the state, which is the Republican chair. And so I just wanted to recognize a very confident, very proud, a very strong Latino man that has done a lot for this state over the past and is set up to do quite a bit in the state in the future as our Republican chair. Just wanted to acknowledge that. Thank you.
Members, the motion before us is the adoption of House Joint Resolution 1019. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Mr. Schiebel, we have a technical difficulty. Thank you. Please close the machine. With 62 ayes, 0 no, and 3 excused, House Joint Resolution 1019 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to proceed out of order for immediate consideration of Senate Joint Memorial 003.
Members, you've heard the motion. Seeing no objection, we will proceed out of order for immediate consideration of Senate Joint Memorial 003. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to Senate Joint Memorial 003.
Senate Joint Memorial 3 by Senator Gonzalez, also Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez, memorializing former Representative and Senator Dennis Gallagher.
Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move Senate Joint Memorial 23003 and ask that it be read at length.
Mr. Schiebel, please read our memorial.
Whereas the Honorable Dennis Joseph Patrick Gallagher departed this life on April 22nd, 2022 at the age of 82. And whereas the Honorable Gallagher was a beloved past member of the Colorado House of Representatives from 1970 to 1974 and the Colorado Senate from 1974 to 1995. Served on the Denver City Council from 1995 to 2003 and was elected as auditor for the City and County of Denver, serving from 2003 until 2015. And whereas the Honorable Gallagher was born in 1939 in Denver, Colorado, to first-generation Irish-American mother and father Nellie Flaherty and William Gallagher Jr., and attended Holy Family High School in North Denver. And whereas the Honorable Gallagher's life was transformed by the Sisters of Laredo at Holy Family High School in North Denver, whose coaching led him to achieve the distinction of national runner-up in the Voice of Democracy oratorical contest. And whereas the Honorable Gallagher went on to Catholic University in Washington, D.C., on a J.K. Mullen Scholarship, where he received graduate degrees in speech, linguistics, and comparative philology, and wrote a thesis on a 1399 Cornish medieval miracle play. And whereas it was during his time in Washington that the Honorable Gallagher worked on campaigns for John F. Kennedy and felt the warmth of John F. Kennedy's torch. And whereas the Honorable Gallagher was an important figure in the Irish community in Denver, hosting a well-known St. Patrick's Day celebration, as well as co-authoring the book Irish Denver, Images of America, with his friends Tom Knoll and James Patrick Walsh. And whereas the Honorable Gallagher was perhaps best known for the amendment named after him, the Gallagher Amendment, which passed the legislature in 1982 and was intended to lower residential property taxes. And whereas the Honorable Gallagher worked with Mayor John Hickenlooper, who he helped get his start in politics, to spearhead the complete reformation of the Denver Auditor's Office, which expanded the purview of the office and allowed for performance-based audits. And whereas the Honorable Gallagher was a devoted public servant who worked well with everyone around him, and who was known by his constituents to be an approachable and visible legislator who could be seen walking his districts and stopping to talk with whoever he ran into, introducing himself. Dennis impressed foreign visitors by greeting them in their native language, amazingly in 23 different tongues. He also astonished tourists and locals by bursting into the Colorado State song, A.J. Flynn's Where the Columbines Grow, and always reminded people, you have to ask for the vote. And whereas the Honorable Gallagher was known for his personal motto, which was Athenian in origin and came from his love of the classics, leave the city a better place than you found it. And whereas, as Tom Knoll's heartfelt tribute to him said, with Dennis gone, who will enlighten city council and legislative journals with quotations from poets such as William Shakespeare and Gerard Manley Hopkins. Dennis was a hopeless bibliophile who never passed up on a book sale or a library. Every book is a sacred obligation, he loved to say. Not only the people of Denver, but thousands of students at Regis University, where Dennis taught speech, persuasion, and media for almost 50 years, will miss him. He especially loved the summer classes he took to Ireland. To those who think no politician can be honest, Dennis Gallagher was the answer. And whereas it is fitting that we, the members of the 74th General Assembly, pay tribute to the dedicated service of Honorable Dennis Joseph Patrick Gallagher and express our deep regret and sorrow occasioned by his death. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate of the 74th General Assembly of the State of Colorado, the House of Representatives concurring herein, that in the death of Honorable Dennis Joseph Patrick Gallagher, the people of Colorado have lost a dedicated public servant and outstanding citizen, and that we, the members of the 74th General Assembly, do hereby extend our deep and heartfelt sympathy to the members of his family and pay tribute to a man who served his state well and faithfully.
Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, please be seated. Because Senator Gallagher served in the Senate for 20 years, I saw some eyebrows raise in the crowd here because that was, of course, before term limits. They did a very lovely ceremony over in the Senate, and so we're, of course, commemorating it here in the House. But I did want to just say a few words. Senator Gallagher, also Representative Gallagher, is one of my predecessors of House District 4, Northwest and West Denver. And I have to say that, you know, if you're running for office in North Denver, you better go talk to Dennis Gallagher, amongst many other names that are pretty famous in the area. And just like Dennis, I actually also grew up in North Denver, multi-generations. And of course, I knew the Gallagher name growing up. As we heard, you know, Senator Gallagher was always excited to share history of our community in North Denver. He was always very active and involved in the political scene and advocating for the people of Denver. He never stopped providing me with advice on policy and recommendations. Of course, I heard a lot from him when we were working on repealing the Gallagher Amendment, and that was kind of a struggle. And there are other instances where he would constantly reach out to me about how our Colorado tax dollars were being used and that we should not be utilizing them for hush money or slush funds, he called them, for settlements in harassment cases. And that was something he reached out to me on a regular basis, and I said, I'm continuing to look into that, sir, because he had a good point. The last thing I'll just mention, you heard his St. Patrick's Day parties. He had, that was what he was really known for, and so it was fitting for the ceremony that occurred over in the Senate on Friday to be on St. Patrick's Day. And so he was very well known for throwing these parties in the community to attend and celebrate. I also remember when I was first elected to this seat, getting a letter from Dennis, and I meant to grab it because I saved it, because he wrote in calligraphy. And so anytime he hand wrote things, and his signature is famous, notorious in Denver, he wished me the best as I assumed the seat for House District 4. Again, you know, carrying on a tradition that this seat has been acquired by folks who were from the neighborhood, from North Denver. And so I was honored to be able to continue that tradition. And so with that, thank you, members, for listening to this memorial today.
Thank you, Representative. Seeing no further discussion, the motion before us is the adoption of Senate Joint Memorial 003. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Representative Lindsay is excused. Please close the machine. With 61 ayes, 0 no, and 4 excused, Senate Joint Memorial 003 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Members, our next order of business is third reading, final passage Mr. Shebel, please read the title to House Bill 1232.
House Bill 1232 by Representatives McCluskey and Judah, also Senator Roberts, concerning clarification of the scope of the authority of the Division of Housing to spend money for certain types of grants.
Madam Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move House Bill 1232 on third reading and final passage.
The motion before us is the adoption of House Bill 1232 on third reading, final passage. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 51 aye, 10 no, and 4 excused, House Bill 1232 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Shebel, please read the title to House Bill 1183.
House Bill 1183 by Representatives Judah and Sirota, also Senator Winter F., concerning Medicaid prior authorization requests for a step therapy exception and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Madam Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move House Bill 1183 on third reading and final passage.
The motion before us is the adoption of House Bill 1183 on third reading, final passage. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 59 aye, 3 no, and 3 excused, House Bill 1183 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Shebel, please read the title to House Bill 1196.
House Bill 1196 by Representative Leader, also Senator Sullivan, concerning clarifying that workers' compensation is not the exclusive remedy for persons aggrieved by violations of the Colorado Youth Employment Opportunity Act of 1971.
Madam Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move House Bill 1196 on third reading and final passage.
Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to let my colleagues in the chamber know why I cannot support this bill. Many of you don't know that I'm a member of many organizations, national organizations, and state organizations. And I'm also a member of the National Federation of Independent Businesses. Now, this particular bill, there's a problem with this particular bill. And I'm going to try to explain here before all of you that under current law in Colorado, an injured worker does not carry a burden of proof or must demonstrate negligence by the employer for an injury covered under the workman's compensation. Conversely, the employer cannot be sued or held liable for the injury. This has been the law for approximately 100 years. As a small businessman, as an employer of less than 5 people in my business, in my very small business, I understand that. The Colorado legislature has introduced this House bill that amends the Colorado Youth Employment Opportunity Act to create additional right of action in law by injured workers and aggrieved parties, including parents of children if the employer is found to have violated a youth labor law. This particular bill, if signed by the governor, could cause employers of all sizes to reduce the hiring of workers under the age of 18 for fear of facing additional legal action under this civil action. And I will tell you that, and many of you know this, I raised a fistful of daughters, and I really appreciated their opportunity to work as teenagers, not only on the ranch and farm, but outside, drive to town and get a job and go to work. Because learning how to work and learning how to work in industry and contribute in a positive way is very important, even for our youth. And that starts the process of them growing and learning. So this is a concern, a very deep concern of mine. I wouldn't want to do anything to restrict that opportunity, but I'm afraid this bill will. Allowable actions contained in the bill will slow down the process, interfere with the continuity of care, and drive up costs without providing any additional benefit to the worker's health and recovery. Employers are already subject to wage and hour penalties for the hiring of minors, and there's already laws that speak to youth labor. But now we're going to add more. Here's my concern, ladies and gentlemen of the chamber. Small business over the last 3 years has had many challenges. And you've heard me say this before. Now we're in a post-COVID recovery period, and we in small business need to have an opportunity to recover and grow. But when more and more laws are piled on top of small business, it can stifle those opportunities for youth or for any adult. I think a lot of times we take that for granted. We want to take care of people. Workman's compensation is a comprehensive program. We want to take care of those that are injured. But what we don't want to do is hurt small business. Please consider that in everything we do in this building, because people in small business really feel like you're just pushing us back up against the wall and shaking us down with different laws and statutes that don't help us. This is just another small chisel hitting the block of small business and just knocking a little more wood at underneath our stool. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I will be a no.
Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I've gotten a lot of emails on this bill also, a lot of them from small business owners. One of them, one particular one in my district, emails, as a small business owner in your district, I'm strongly against House Bill 23-1196, amending the Colorado Youth Employment Opportunity Act. Small business employers are already struggling to find qualified workers. House Bill 23-1196 makes finding workers an erroneous and time-consuming task for employers. This bill would add an already complex affair by slowing down the process, interfering with continuity of care, driving up costs, and limiting benefits to workers' health and recovery. Employers are already subject to wage and hourly restrictions in hiring minors. I urge you to oppose House Bill 23-1196, which would open the litigation floodgates for workplace injuries already covered by current workers' compensation policies. We're putting together a repetitive bill here. And I just want to also add the teenager aspect to this bill. We're so concerned about teenage mental health, but yet we're going to make it more difficult for them to find something to do that is productive and gives them good purpose in moving forward. This bill absolutely opposes that and makes it harder for teens to find something productive to do, something that leads them in the right direction. So I strongly ask for a no vote on this bill. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before us is the adoption of House Bill 1196 on third reading, final passage. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Weinberg, the going rate these days is $7. Please close the machine. With 44 aye, 18 no, and 3 excused, House Bill 1196 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title of House Bill 1008.
House Bill 1008 by Representative Weissman, also Senator Fields, concerning tax policies related to the accessibility of food and in connection therewith, requiring additions to Colorado taxable income in amounts equal to the business meals federal itemized deduction, creating a tax credit to support the Small Business Recovery and Resilience Grant Program, and making an appropriation.
Madam Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move House Bill 1008 on third reading and final passage.
The motion before us is the adoption of House Bill 1008 on third reading, final passage. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 44 aye, 18 no, and 3 excused, House Bill 1008 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1003.
House Bill 1003 by Representative Michelson Janae, also Senator Cutter, concerning the creation of the 6th through 12th grade Mental Health Screening Act and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Madam Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move House Bill 1003 on third reading and final passage.
The motion before us is the adoption of House Bill 1003 on third reading, final passage. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 43 aye, 19 no, and 3 excused, House Bill 1003 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Concurrent Resolution 1002.
House Concurrent Resolution 1002 by Representative Marshall, also Senator Fields, submitting to the registered electors of the state of Colorado an amendment to the Colorado Constitution concerning an expansion of eligibility for the property tax exemption for veterans with a disability to include a veteran who does not have a service-connected disability rated as a 100% permanent disability but does have an individual unemployability status.
Madam Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move House Concurrent Resolution 1002 on third reading and final passage.
Members, the motion before us is the adoption of House Concurrent Resolution 1002 on third reading, final passage. Members, this does require a 2/3 vote, or 44 aye, in order to pass. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine, and members proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 62 ayes, 0 no, and 3 excused, House Concurrent Resolution 1002 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1012.
House Bill 1012 by Representative Amabile, also Senator Rodriguez, concerning issues related to juvenile competency to proceed and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Madam Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move House Bill 1012 on third reading and final passage.
The motion before us is the adoption of House Bill 1012 on third reading, final passage. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine, and members proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 52 aye, 10 no, and 3 excused, House Bill 1012 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to Senate Bill 96.
Senate Bill 96 by Senators Roberts and Lundin, also Representatives Amabile and Soper, concerning policies relating to in-state tuition classification at state-supported institutions of higher education.
Madam Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move Senate Bill 96 on third reading and final passage.
The motion before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 96 on third reading, final passage. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 58 aye, 4 no, and 3 excused, Senate Bill 96 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title of House Bill 1186.
House Bill 1186 by Representatives Lindsay and Judah, also Senators Exum and Hawkes Lewis, concerning remote participation in a residential eviction filed in county court and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Madam Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move House Bill 1186 on third reading and final passage.
The motion before us is the adoption of House Bill 1186 on third reading, final passage. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 44 aye, 18 no, and 3 excused, House Bill 1186 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Please. Please close the machine. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1067.
House Bill 1067 by Representatives Young and Bradfield, also Senator Cutter, concerning creation of a family and community intervenor program to support children experiencing deafblindness and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Madam Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move House Bill 1067 on third reading and final passage.
The motion before us is the adoption of House Bill 1067 on third reading, final passage. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 59 aye to no, 4 excused, House Bill 1067 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to Senate Bill 68.
Senate Bill 68 by Senators Pelton R. and Exum, also Representatives Lukens and Puglisi, concerning modifications to the operations of a public hospital board of trustees created by a board of county commissioners.
Madam Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move Senate Bill 68 on third reading and final passage.
The motion before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 68 on third reading, final passage. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 58 aye, 3 no, and 4 excused, Senate Bill 68 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the following bills be made special orders at 11:10 a.m. House Bill 1224, House Bill 1225, House Bill 1089, and Senate Bill 150.
Seeing no objection, the bills listed by the Majority Leader will be made special orders at 11:10 a.m. Representative Dixon. Members, you have heard the motion. Seeing no objection, the House will now resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of special orders. Representative Dixon will take the chair.
Okay. The committee will come to order. With your unanimous consent, the bills will be read by title unless there is a request for reading a bill at length. Committee reports are printed in your bill folders. Floor amendments will be shown on the screen and on your iPads, and bills will be laid over upon motion of the majority leader. The court rule is relaxed. Mr. Sheeb will please read the title of House Bill 23-1224 and the committee report.
House Bill 1224 by Representatives Brown and Judah, also Senator Roberts, concerning changes to the Colorado Standardized Health Benefit Plan Act.
Representative Brown.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1224 and the committee report.
To the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the committee report, in committee, we made one technical amendment that had to do with a drafting error in the original legislation from 2 years ago. So we would ask for an aye vote on the committee report.
Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and it's an honor to serve with you.
An honor to serve with you.
So members, I heard this bill in H&I Committee, or Health and Insurance, and certainly there were some interesting discussions when it came to ideas about the utilization trends and medical inflation and what's being changed in the bill. So I wanted to be able to really try to work on really addressing some of those concerns that were raised in committee. So I had an amendment drafted, and I moved. Okay, that was interesting. Yeah, okay. Apparently the Senate is making some noises. I move, it's really distracting. I move Amendment L007 to House Bill 1224 and ask that it be displayed.
Thank you. Amendment L007 has been properly moved.
I'm sorry, to the committee report.
To the committee report has been moved, and the first page is displayed, and you should have received the rest of it on your desks. Representative Soper?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This amendment, which by the way is the best numbered amendment possible, it was distributed last week, and every member should have been able to read through it because it was placed on your desks. So the most important part is it talks about utilization trend means the estimated change in utilization of a service based on actuarially sound projections. And then if you move up to the first part, it talks about it's being struck out, change in the medical care index over the previous 10 years, and changes that to the rate of the second half of the prior year. It's really important because medical inflation is changing rapidly. And we know this because back when we first heard the public option, and I've heard all levels of the public option. I have served long enough that I got to participate in voting on the study. Then we got the results of the study. Then we had the public option bill. And now this bill is seeking to already change the public option, which is yet to really fully come into force. The insurance product is being sold, but we actually haven't seen those reduction years hit. And before the reduction years hit, we shouldn't be changing the look at what medical inflation looks like, because we've now been through a global pandemic, and a pandemic really hits our hospitals and our healthcare systems. We also are seeing unprecedented inflation right now. Last year, the Denver Post headlines had a newspaper article that talked about how inflation in Colorado was at a 40-year high, and medical inflation is not immune from that. Over the weekend, the Denver Post reported in two different articles that hospitals are not making nearly the money that they were making prior to the pandemic, and that Colorado's hospitals are struggling. As someone who sits on a hospital board, I can tell you that this is completely true. Our rural hospitals are struggling, but also the big systems are struggling as well because of the costs of labor is one, and going over to traveling nurses. So we shouldn't be pinning this to over a 10-year period, because we're going to get bad data. And if we want good data and to actually see what the inflation looks like for the medical sector, we should look at the second half of the prior year, and then the utilization trend. The rest of the text, if you're wondering why it's in here, is we had to include it because there were different parts in the bill that we needed to insert the word utilization trend. So as you're looking at the amendment, you'll notice that most of this is lowercase, so there's nothing changing there. But then you'll see, for example, on lines 2, it says utilization trend, and then 14, line 28, and line 39. And then if you flip over to the third page, utilization trend is on line 10, and line 15, and line 20. It's a long amendment, small changes in here, and I'd ask for a yes vote. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L7? Representative Brown.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate this, and I appreciate my colleague bringing an amendment. I'm going to ask for a no vote on this amendment. This particular amendment goes too far in addressing medical inflation. I'm happy to continue to have conversations with my colleagues as well as with health insurers about how to address medical inflation, but including this language is not the right approach. Utilization trend in particular is something that health insurance companies themselves can control, and so it doesn't make sense for us to adjust for it. So I ask for a no vote on this amendment.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L7? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L7 to the committee report. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. No. The noes have it. The amendment fails. To the committee report. Representative Judah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move L010 and ask that it be displayed. Oh, are we still on the committee report?
We're still on the committee
Oh,
report,
I'm
right?
so sorry. I'm so sorry. I thought you said to bill.
So at this point, we would ask for an aye on the committee report.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the committee report. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion passes. To the bill. Representative Brown.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this point, I move L010 and ask that it be displayed.
That is a proper motion.
Where is my packet? Here it is.
Amendment L010 is properly moved and displayed. Please proceed. Representative Brown.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I appreciate, so this amendment comes from negotiations that we would have had with the health insurance companies. It is a way of ensuring that all health insurance companies are playing by the same rules, and we would ask for an aye vote.
Representative Soper.
Sorry. That's okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Amendment L009 as a substitute amendment and ask that it be displayed.
Amendment L009 has been properly moved
It's the one I gave you already.
and is displayed. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So members, as you can see, there's a lot of similarities here. However, the previous amendment actually struck out part of what this amendment is trying to do. So what it says is the commissioner may establish uniform limits on all carriers' administrative costs and profits for a standardized plan if the resulting premium rates are actuarially sound, do not entail cost shifting to plans other than standardized plans, and consider the risk margin commensurate with the underlying risk inherent in the forward-looking affordability care market, or affordable care market. The, we need to be very cautious with the words that we're putting in statute, and we need to make sure that what we're actually asking for can actually be achieved. And it's really important that as we're looking to the standardized plans, the public option plans, that we're not creating a scenario where cost shifting occurs. We're also not creating something that's not actuarially sound. These plans are easy to be able to get out of kilter, and it's important that we have some strong language in statute, which is why I offer this as a substitute amendment. And I'd ask for a yes vote. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Brown.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I thank my colleague for bringing this amendment. I'm going to ask for a no vote on this amendment. It is substantially similar to the amendment that we offer, L0010 or L010, but this amendment includes language that would make the bill difficult to implement, specifically everything in lines 6 and 7. And so I'm asking for a no vote and an aye vote on the underlying amendment. So no vote on this amendment.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L010? Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to remind the bill sponsor and remind my colleagues that my good colleague from Delta who offers these amendments sits on a hospital board. He is very familiar with the needs in healthcare, and he very much understands these requirements. So the amendments that he brings forth are well thought out, and they're important. You see, colleagues, we have a crisis in healthcare. In rural Colorado, we have a crisis in healthcare, and I'm going to tell you why. It's not what you think. The healthcare institutions are upside down. They're underwater. In business school, they call it in the red. They're struggling. Now, the amendments, such as this amendment, helps. It helps to try to keep our hospitals solvent, our doors open. I don't think the people in this chamber understand how bad it is out there. And I was in Holyoke, Colorado at Melissa Memorial Hospital this weekend, talking to the entire administrative staff. They are not just visibly concerned, they are scared to death about the future of rural healthcare in Colorado. So I want you, before you say no to these important amendments that come from a very astute and intelligent caucus member of mine who is thoughtful, careful, clear in thought and vision, please consider that my colleague is trying to help. Don't just write off what he presents. Please understand his sincerity and concern. We have talked about it. He's from the far western side of the state, I'm from the far eastern side of the state, but in this we agree. Thank you, Madam Chair, for the opportunity to make sure that we understand where my good colleague from Delta comes with many amendments that he's trying to make a difference, an incremental difference in the rest of Colorado. Thank you.
Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just want to thank my colleague from the Eastern Plains if he said any more compliments, I'd owe him lunch. I still renew my effort for a yes vote on this amendment. You know, 6 and 7, lines 6 and 7 are critically important because it really addresses looking at what is the affordable care market looking like as we're looking out into the future. Right now, there's a lot of risk. Risk is really high. We're entering a time of high inflation. We're entering a time with more regulation. And this is all challenging when trying to create an insurance product that's also affordable. that's also going to be a certain percentage less than the year before. And being able to manage how you're pricing that product by being able to look forward is an important element. You can't just sit back and look at the nationwide 10-year average, which is what's in the bill, by the way. This nationwide 10-year average in Colorado is different than the nation when it comes to medical costs and medical inflation. And so we need something that carriers can be able to look at when they're creating these particular products. And I would ask for a yes vote. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L009? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L009 as a substitute amendment to L10. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. No. The noes have it. The amendment fails. To Amendment L10. Representative Brown.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this amendment, L010, just to remind everybody, is substantially similar to the amendment that we just voted on, but it takes out the language that makes it difficult to implement. We would ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before us is the adoption of Amendment L10. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendment is adopted. To the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the Colorado option, this bill is fundamentally about the Colorado option. And the Colorado option has been a great success story within the last 2 years in Colorado. Over 38,000 Coloradans have enrolled in these plans, including nearly 28,000 through Connect for Health Colorado, the state's health insurance marketplace, and another 10,000 through the new Omni Salud program. In 2023, all counties in Colorado have access to a bronze, silver, and gold plan and in the individual market. And for current individual market enrollees, 87% have access to a bronze, silver, or gold Colorado option plan at a level that's at or below 5% of the premium reduction target. The Colorado option is increasing the level of competition in the health insurance market in Colorado. In 2023, there were 36 new individual market plans with increased benefits in the market and 48 new small group plans. Carriers are selling these plans in each county where they sell other individual market and small group plans. And in the overwhelming majority of counties, Colorado plans have the lowest premiums than similar plans in the same area.
Representative Judah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, one of the key reasons that I co-sponsored the Colorado option 2 years ago was because of the value that it put on advancing health equity, and that was important to me, making sure that communities like myself have access to equitable, affordable, sustainable, quality health care. The bill essentially does three things. The first, it proposes to make changes to the display of the Colorado option plans on the Connect for Health website. What we were hearing was that people knew about the Colorado option, but they had a hard time finding it. So we want to make sure, again, folks have an option, make it clear that they can find it and actually get on the Colorado option. The other thing that it will do is it proposes to make changes to, excuse me, the public hearing process. So it puts core elements of the process, which is currently in DOI regulations, into statute, and this bill will help create certainty around the process moving forward. And finally, the bill will also make certain changes related to the review of rates of the Colorado option plans, including allowing the division to establish limits on carriers' administrative costs and profits for Colorado option plans to ensure that the carriers are contributing to the solution to significant challenges of making health care more affordable. And we ask for an aye vote.
Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I rise in opposition of this bill. We heard it in Health and Insurance Committee. We also heard the public option bill from a couple of years ago, also in health and insurance. And then back in 2019, we heard the study bill. So we've seen the full evolution of this particular policy. What we heard in committee was that last year, which was the first year, 2022, of the public option, 28,000 people signed up for the public option. However, there were only 142 in the small group market who signed up for the public option. While we were told in committee that 28,000 was actually an impressive number for the individual market, 142 is actually a very small number, even for the small group market. One thing that we heard from carriers was to exempt out the small group market because it actually costs them more money to create and set up this particular product than to design a really good product for the individual market. The other thing that we heard in committee is that the public option is actually more expensive than plans you can get on the exchange. And it came out throughout testimony because if you turn to page 2 of the bill, lines 8 through 11, this is the really concerning part. And this language talks about how the commissioner has the authority to develop the format for displaying the standardized plans on the exchange in a manner that encourages value-based shopping and allows consumers to easily compare the plans. The problem is, if you're showing consumers a more expensive plan and you're making it difficult for them to see the more value-based or economical plans or cheaper plans, depending on which word you want to choose, Coloradans then are actually buying a more expensive insurance product when they really would like a cheaper insurance product. The example that we used in committee is that I may really want a Porsche. I may think that that's the only thing out there if I want an insurance product. If that's only shown to me right at first, I'm either going to think, A, it's too expensive and I just can't afford insurance, or B, I'm thinking that's the only option out there, so I'm going to bend over backwards to try to find the resources to buy it. When in reality, it's okay if I have the Toyota plan and something that at least gets me from point A to point B. It's a solid engine. It's known for reliability, durability. I mean, most people would say that Toyota is that particular vehicle. And so there's the value side. And that's why we're just really concerned with that particular language. The insurance markets, the insurance carriers actually don't, aside from this bill wanting to cap the administrative fee that carriers can accept, which by the way is already in the public option, if the carriers can't present the rate reductions, what ends up happening is then the Division of Insurance can rate set providers. An example would be hospitals based on a formula of Medicare reimbursement, or Medicaid reimbursement. And the bill also states that it's a 10-year average of CPI, and so it's not based on an insurance region or a state average. It's actually based on a national average over 10 years. And that's actually really challenging because Colorado historically has had a higher medical inflation than other states or the national average. Data from the Hospital Association shows this. The other thing is that medical inflation is not the same depending on what part of Colorado you're in. It actually tends to be a little bit higher in some of our rural areas as well. So if we're going to give the Commissioner of Insurance the power to eventually rate set, and I think this is where it's going to be because the power is enumerated here and it was enumerated in the underlying bill as well, then we're going to further cripple our hospitals and we're going to lead to more consolidation. And what consolidation means is that we have a limitation of services that are offered in rural Colorado. And that's certainly my fear of where we're heading here. I do just want to touch on that I have heard good things about the Omni Salud program, so I just want to throw that out there as well. I can't talk too much about it when certainly I've had a lot of folks say that it was good that the state did something for this population of Coloradans. But it certainly has put a challenge on trying to create an affordable insurance product because we are rate shifting, we're also robbing Peter to pay Paul, and we're making it to where it's only the Colorado option plans. And that's just one thing that's challenging here. So because of all these reasons, I'm going to be a no vote here today, but I do want to encourage the sponsors to continue to work on this bill, work with their Senate sponsors. I want to give a shout out to the Senate that there are some tweaks that need to be addressed in this bill, and I really hope we can see this so that when it comes back on concurrence, at least I'd feel better. Thank you.
Representative Hartsook.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'm kind of curious, let's ask ourselves a question. If the purpose of the insurance plan is to make it fair and equitable, and if we're using the metric of the number of people that are enrolled, then the question is what are they paying? According to the Division of Insurance, from 22 to 23, it went up 10.4% here in Colorado. We've got silver plans that are way above the average that are increasing in price. Does that make it fair and equitable out there for the people that buy those plans? And then let's talk about what are they getting in those plans. If you buy insurance and then you go to use it, but you have a $10,000 deductible, is that actual coverage? Can you afford a $10,000 deductible? For some people, the answer may be yes. I'd be willing to bet for a great number of Coloradans that answer is no. Is that the metric that we use for determining insurance coverage? If we're going to define coverage as taking care of people that makes it fair and equitable across the board, then they need something that they can use. If the government is in the business of picking the winners and losers and decides that it's a single plan here and this is what they need to go through, whether it's the silver, the gold, or the bronze, then the government's deciding and people are no longer making that choice for themselves. If we want to talk about what is the amount of profits and things that are going on, right now there's currently, has been, the federal MLR, which is the medical loss ratio at 80%. And what that means is the companies, it's stating out to them that you can't have more than 20% that's going to overhead. 80% must go to the patient care in some form or another. Your 20% goes to overhead. Yet how does that pay out if they have a $10,000 or higher deductible? I'm sure we've seen many other stories, and I've heard them countless times, of the people that go in to get whatever procedure they need done, and they believe they have insurance, and they do have insurance. What they don't realize is the amount of out-of-pocket expenses they have. And they say, but I have insurance. Yes, you do have insurance, but it does not cover what you are seeking. And if it does cover what you are seeking, it's going to cost you a lot of money. I would submit that that is not fair and equitable. We need to ask ourselves, is this what we are trying to do? Or are we trying to make it to where people can have affordable insurance where they have a choice? If it's the latter and we seek to make it affordable and we want to give people a choice, then I would recommend we go back to the drawing board and do some work on this bill. Because right now, it doesn't give people a choice. They get into a program, it locks them in, and they don't have a whole lot of options. And right now, the Colorado market is skyrocketing way ahead of the national market and everything else, and that's because the government is picking winners and losers. I would encourage us to vote no and relook this bill to make it more fair and equitable so people can have a choice out there and a plan that will cover what they need. Thank you very much.
Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's a pleasure to serve with you.
Pleasure to serve with you.
All right. I'd like to move L011 to HB 1224 and ask that it be displayed.
Amendment L11 has been properly moved and displayed. Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill does not deal with an emergency, so let's be honest with our citizens and let's honor their constitutional rights to disagree with us. We're just going back to this safety clause is being abused. Article 5, Section 1, Paragraph 3 states that legislation passed for the immediate preservation of the public peace, health, or safety is exempt from the power of the referendum to overturn it by either signed petition, which is highly unlikely, of registered electors or the General Assembly. So it's not only taking out the option of the public, but it is taking out our own. This is an end run, an abridgment of our First Amendment, where Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or the press or of the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for rights for redress of grievances. The sponsor of this bill gives no justification for violating the right of the people to petition the government in regards to this bill. There is nothing in it that recommends it for the preservation of peace, health, or safety. This bill is about fixing...
Representative DeGraff?
Yes,
please
ma'am.
Do not impugn the motives of other members here.
I'm just stating that there's nothing in this bill that justifies it for the immediate preservation of peace, health, or safety. I don't know why. I'm not impugning any motives. I'm just stating the fact that there are none. So this is about the public option that hasn't even settled in, and we're already making changes, which shows the danger of a legislative body focused on passing quantity over quality. So I want to have this implemented now is not an emergency. And again, this body can't even let the legislation settle in before changing it. Well, 1224 ensures further mucking about and forcing of the medical market, creating confusion and government overreach, but it's not an emergency or justified violation of the First Amendment rights of Coloradans. This bill is being requested that this change in law is necessary enough to be enforced by men with guns, which would be unlikely, unnecessary if it was a good idea. We've heard from hospitals that this is a threat to the viability of our healthcare system, which we know is under assault in order to drive us into an inefficient and unresponsive monopoly called single payer. If you want to improve the healthcare, we need to consider unraveling the web of good intentions that have been imposed on it. If we are afraid to present a law for consideration by the government, absent some truly emergent reason to preserve the public peace, health, or safety, it should be assumed to be in opposition to the consent of the governed and therefore not in accordance with any just powers allotted to us, but in contradiction to the constitutions of both Colorado and the United States, and therefore not an actual law, but an edict imposed by fiat in a violation of the oath we took.
Representative DeGraff,
Yes, ma'am.
please stick to the bill, the amendment.
I'm speaking to the inappropriate application of the safety clause, which is not merited by this bill, which is addressing the problems of another bill and another law that have already been imposed on Colorado and have not even been allowed to take effect yet while we identify the problems with it. So I move that the safety clause be removed and replaced with a standard clause to allow the citizens of Colorado to exercise their fundamental rights, albeit unlikely, to petition the government for redress of any potential grievances that they would find with the good intentions of this edict. This potential fetter upon their liberty so that we can confidently hold that is within the bounds of the consent of the governed. I ask for a yes vote on removing this safety clause and adding a more appropriate petition clause to this bill that should be rejected. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion of Amendment L11? Seeing none, the question before, Representative Brown?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd ask for a no vote on this amendment. I certainly appreciate the commitment to the referendum process from my colleague. Unfortunately, this bill does have an immediate time frame on it. The division is already conducting reviews of health insurance plans, and we need the bill to go into effect immediately in order for those reviews to be efficient and effective. So I'd ask for a no vote on this amendment.
Representative Wilson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill absolutely has no reason to need to go into effect immediately. I would ask for a yes vote on this amendment. Thank you.
Representative Luck?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a point of clarification. Am I to understand that we should vote no on this because the agencies are already acting as if this is law?
Representative DeGraff?
I think my colleague made it clear why we need a yes vote on this amendment, because the previous law was obviously half-baked, and now this law that is trying to fix that law, and we don't even know what's going on with the previous law. So what we need is a deliberative process in these laws and talk to everybody before we start imposing them. And again, our better option would be probably to start unforcing the market and releasing it, as opposed to adding an additional layer of good intentions on top of it. So I'd encourage a yes vote. It's unlikely, granted, but it is an important part. And the emergency stated, or the perceived emergency state, is not an emergency, and it's not a justification to do an end run around the First Amendment rights of Coloradans. There is nothing in this bill that justifies an end run around the First Amendment. Please vote yes on removing the safety clause, and let's get back to using the safety clause where the safety clause is appropriate. And this is certainly, and I want it now, is certainly not an appropriate use of the safety clause.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L11. A division has been called. What do I do? Recess. The committee will be in a brief recess. So say just this. Okay. The committee will come back to order. The question is the adoption of Amendment L11 to House Bill 1224. A division has been requested. All those in the chamber not entitled to vote, please be seated. All those in favor of Amendment L11, please stand and remain standing, or raise your hand and keep it raised until the count is taken. You may be seated. All those opposed, please stand and remain standing in one place until the count is taken. You may be seated. Amendment L11 is lost to the bill. Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I realized I kind of left you hanging with my previous remarks that I was making on the Omni Salute program. The point that I was driving at was that of the 10,000 undocumented immigrants that are on the Omni Salute program, basically what the state did, and this already exists, but they forced them all into the public option versus having a choice to be on the exchange. And if they were able to have a better insurance product from the exchange, and that was just one thing that I was trying to drive at, that choice is important. Choice is important whether on the public option side, so someone who's looking to try to tell the difference between the exchange or the public option or a commercial plan. But if you're part of the Omni Salute, you should have that same choice. You should have the same choice as any other Coloradan, that you're, just because you're part of this program doesn't mean that your choice should be taken away. I also really wanted to talk about how from last year the individual premiums in 2022 increased by 10.4% from all of last year to the beginning of this year in 2023. 10.4% is a lot. And once again, if we're looking at a long duration of 10 years, not at a fraction of a year, part a year, like the amendment I previously ran, that can be frustrating as well because it just means that we're driving towards the insurance commissioner being able to set prices for hospitals and for providers. But I want to jump back to really on page 2 of the bill. As we had this lengthy conversation in Health and Insurance Committee, and we used cars as an option, being able to compare what's the value you want. And we also brought up the example of booking a flight on an airplane. And that when you go to book a flight and you go to Expedia, you get to see all the different carriers on Expedia. You get to see economy, premium economy, business, first class. You also get an idea of what's in each one. And so it's kind of like this giant Excel spreadsheet. And it's telling you, if you're booking business class to Europe, you're maybe looking at $12,000 to $20,000 depending on the airline. But if you want to fly economy, you may be able to get there, well, back in the good old days for $600, although nowadays it's probably going to cost you more like $2,000. And you still get to see what that ticket will get you. Does it get you 6 inches of legroom? Does it get you a full bed that lies down? I mean, that's what it shows you when you're booking an airplane, and it should be the same when a Coloradan logs on to see what insurance product they want. They shouldn't have one particular product that is thrown in front of them before being able to look at all the other products. And they should be able to make up their own mind on what value is in their mind and be able to see in a snapshot what this value looks like. Because we're all going to value different things. As a younger male or middle-aged male, I guess now, there's going to be things that I'm going to be looking at differently for health insurance than if I was in my 80s, for example. Or if I was 20 years younger, or for a better example, just so I'm not part of what could be covered under, say, a parent's plan, say you're 27, 28, you're going to have different needs that you're going to want covered as well. And so value changes depending on your health, your age, where you are in life. Are you married? Are you single? Do you have dependents? And that's why it's important to really look at what value is, how value shopping can be made, and really to help address this, I've had an amendment drafted, and I move Amendment L008 and ask that it be properly displayed.
Amendment L008 is properly
Give you guys
moved.
a copy already.
And it is displayed. Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So members, this actually addresses what I've just been talking about. It talks about how the exchange and collaboration with the Division of Insurance through a public stakeholder process, which is really important so that the public can weigh in on actually how the marketplace, or it's going to be presented in a web format, actually looks, because public engagement is really important because the public are the consumers, and we want to make sure that we give the public the best option and an insurance product here that is value to them. That it's the process is for developing the formatting and display on the exchange website, the standardized plans and other plans that are offered through the exchange. The format must encourage value-based shopping without violating fair marketing requirements, guarantee availability requirements, or any other provision of this Title X, and must not cause an applicant for health care coverage any additional time or effort in deciding which plan is best in meeting the needs of the applicant. This is probably one of the most important provisions in this amendment, because we don't want Coloradans to be bogged down by pages and pages and pages of details. It should be as easy as deciding which airline ticket is best for you. And that's what we hope to drive out. What's that value that you're looking for? Are you looking for more legroom? Are you looking for a seat that reclines back? Are you looking for a window seat? Are you looking for a ticket that includes meal service? It should be the same when a Coloradan is actually going to decide what health care coverage best suits their needs. And then the exchange shall be able to present those options in an easy-to-read format. And that it should be reported back to the General Assembly, because we should also be able to know, did it work? Did what we're putting in statute work? Were Coloradans actually easily able to make a choice on their health care? And did it not violate fair marketing requirements and do exactly what we've said it's going to do? It's really about making sure that Coloradans have a choice in health care, making sure Coloradans can buy the most affordable option, and making sure Coloradans can buy the most value-based option. Because that was one thing that we've heard throughout this entire bill's process, is that value may not be the most affordable, but Coloradans should understand what that value looks like, what's included there, and how does it compare to the other plans. I don't want to present Coloradans with a more expensive plan when a cheaper plan might be available that actually includes what that particular Coloradan would want in health care coverage. And this amendment ensures that option is there, that Coloradans can actually look forward and say, this is right for me. And members, I'd ask for a yes vote. Thank you.
Representative Judah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I ask for a no vote. The bill actually already will do this. We are really intent on making sure that the plans and what folks are getting are very clear. Anytime anyone signs up for health insurance, it's nice to see that really clear chart of this is what you will get at this price, and that's what we want to offer for the Colorado option. So I ask for a no vote.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L8? Representative Soper. And a division has been called. Requested.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just rebut the one point that was made, that the bill actually does not do this, which is why I'm running the amendment. I just want to make that very clear. That if you look at page 2, lines 8 through 11, that this was what we heard in committee, that it actually does not do this. I mean, it puts a lot of power in the hands of the commissioner, And the complaints that we've heard over the last year is that the more expensive public option plans were listed first, and that they were made in such a way that it was difficult for a Coloradan to be able to determine, would a cheaper plan still have the same value I'm looking for? Would it still have the same options that I'm looking for? And that's why it's important to have the public stakeholder process. That's why it's important that we actually call out how the process is to be listed on the website and to be able to make these improvements to the bill. And I would ask for a yes vote. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question is the adoption of Amendment L8. A division has been requested. All those in the chamber not entitled to vote, please be seated. All those in favor of Amendment L8 to House Bill 1224, please stand and remain standing, or raise your hand and keep it raised until the count is taken. You may be seated. All those opposed, please stand and remain standing in one place until the count is taken. You may be seated. Amendment L8 is lost. To the bill. Representative Wilson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Amendment L012 and ask for it to be properly displayed.
Thank you. The amendment is properly moved and displayed. Representative Wilson.
Thank you. If this section, and this is under section 2, Part 3A, it actually reads like a Dr. Seuss book in the sense that the commission will have 120 days to approve the submission of the carriers. But if they don't approve, the submission of the carriers carries. But then if they want to go back and change it after it's, in a sense, been approved by not acting on it, then they can change it. So this amendment is just asking to actually make the commissioner do their responsibilities and make a decision within 120 days to approve or disapprove, instead of allowing for this runaround circus that either if they don't, then they can later, but maybe not. It depends. You know, it's kind of a silly writing here. So I would ask for your yes vote on Amendment 012.
Representative Taggart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to follow up on what my colleague just spoke of, and I think I'd like to read these two sentences to point out the problem in this. And it starts on line 4. If the commissioner does not approve or disapprove the rates within the 120-day period, which is up from 60 days, the carrier may implement and reasonably rely upon the rates submitted. It should end there with a period, but now it goes on to say, on the condition that the commissioner may require correction of any deficiencies in the rate filings upon later review. I don't know whoever came up with the saying, you can have your cake and eat it too, but this one redefines that old term. If 120 days are necessary to approve or disapprove what a carrier has submitted, then that should be it, no more. That is just not fair to businesses that they now still have to wonder, was it approved or disapproved because of this particular phrase? And I ask for an aye vote on this amendment.
Representative Brown?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate this. I ask for a no vote on this amendment. This language substantially tracks the existing authority of the commissioner in rate review, and it also allows for consumer protections in the event that a rate is later found to be inconsistent with those consumer protection principles. It allows people to still be protected and for the rates to be corrected. So I ask for a no vote.
Representative Wilson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So my question would be to the bill sponsors, why have the 120 days if they can just change it any time they want if they feel it's inappropriate?
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L12 to House Bill 1224. A division has been requested. The question before us is still the adoption of Amendment L12 to House Bill 1224. A division has been requested. All those in the chamber not entitled to vote, please be seated. All those in favor of Amendment L12, please stand and remain standing, or raise your hand and keep it raised until the count is taken. You may be seated. All those opposed, please stand and remain standing in one place until the count is taken. You may be seated. Amendment L12 is lost. To the bill. Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I just wanted to come down and talk about some other provisions in the bill, because the bill does a lot. So if you turn to page 7, lines 15. So it talks about if you're appealing a decision by the Commissioner of Insurance. The line that, or the words that are struck out says district court in the applicable jurisdiction, and it replaces that with the Colorado Court of Appeals. This is quite concerning because by skipping the Colorado Court of Appeals, by skipping the district court level and moving directly to the Colorado Court of Appeals, what is missing in this entire process is the trial court, the opportunity to have discovery, to actually make your case for why you're appealing the decision of the Commissioner of Insurance. And instead, you're jumping right away to the Colorado Court of Appeals. I would call this a procedural flaw. It's one that certainly troubles me, that you could bounce from the administrative side with the Commissioner of Insurance, skip the district court, and move right over to the Colorado Court of Appeals. That's not how we have done things in the past. This is a major shift away. You would still have the right in Colorado law to go ahead and try to bypass the district court and petition the Colorado Court of Appeals. That's already in court rules. But to have the option taken away to actually have a trial, to be able to go through discovery, motions hearings, all that goes out the window on page 7, line 15. The other thing that the plan does that is certainly troubling is if you turn to page 5, line 3, it strikes out the word shall, and it replaces it with may. We want the Commissioner of Insurance to hold public hearings prior to the approval of a carrier's final rates. I'm sorry, what? No, I haven't. So we want the Commissioner of Insurance to hold public hearings prior to the approval of the carrier's final rates. We've encouraged the public process to happen. As a matter of fact, this was in the original bill from 2 years ago. And then it's being struck out. We have not even had the opportunity for this shall to be used yet, and already we're changing it to a may. In Colorado, we have a long history of including the public to be part of public hearings and the public process. We encourage the public to be down here at the Capitol to participate in committee hearings. It's at every level of government that we encourage the public. And we always listen to the public. We have that stakeholder process. But changing it to a may shifts that away. All of a sudden, it creates a chilling effect on the public's opportunity to be able to be heard. Because the commissioner may invoke the may and may say may not. And we should definitely encourage using stronger words like shall rather than may. The other thing I wanted to point out is, section 2, page 2, lines 18 to 20. So we've talked on page 2 a lot about lines 8 to 11, but 18 to 20 we've not really talked about. So this is when the commissioner is reviewing the rates for standardized plans. The commissioner may establish limits on the carrier's administrative costs and profits for a standardized plan. Why is this necessary given that federal law already sets medical loss ratios for all healthcare plans? And that was in the Affordable Care Act. It's between 15 and 20%. And out of that 15 or 20%, they have to pay administrative costs, but that's also their profit margin. And the rest of that 80 to 85% must go back to the covered life, to the person that's being covered by the insurance plan. This is all under federal rules. So why is it necessary to have this particular change here? The individual market is one of the most volatile segments for all of healthcare coverage. And we're seeing significant swings in medical costs from one year to the next. Wild cost increases are likely to continue to occur here in Colorado. Earlier I cited the 10.4% from 2022 to the beginning of this year alone. That's a huge percentage change. And to force 80,000 Coloradans who are financially strapped to find new coverage, I mean, this is also quite troubling as well, that we're going to present them first with the most expensive plans rather than something that might actually fit their pocketbook. Because when the end of the public health emergency occurs, which is very soon for shifting Coloradans off of Medicaid, there's going to be a lot of Coloradans who are going to be looking for health insurance, anywhere from 80,000 to, I've heard up to 500,000 possibly. And we shouldn't be giving them only one side. We should spread out all the options and rank them evenly, rather than saying we know best. So for these several reasons are why I'm against the bill. We tried to improve the bill by running these few amendments. I hope the Senate will listen to this debate and hopefully see some of these amendments and our complaints with the bill, because I would like to see this bill get to a much better place. And I'd urge a no vote. Thank you.
Representative Judah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I want to thank my colleagues from across the aisle for engaging in a debate. I always appreciate your insight and your expertise. Members, what we know is that the Colorado option is working, and it's working very, very well, and the bill just wants to make it even better for Coloradans who need health care. And we also understand that the process isn't done, but we need to honor that process, and we need to honor our stakeholders, and we need to make sure that the process is finished, and we are depending on our Senate sponsors to do that, and we are confident that they will. So when it comes back, which it will, we really believe that the changes that will be made will be reflective of what we can all get behind. So again, I ask for an aye vote.
Representative Brown.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I want to thank my co-sponsor on this. As she said, the Colorado option is working well, and the provisions that are included in this bill will help it to work even better. So I know the process will continue as as my colleague from Arapahoe County indicated. We will. The Senate will very likely have its say in this process, and we look forward to continuing conversations through that process. So I ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1224? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1224. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is adopted. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move House Bill 1225 to the end of the special orders calendar.
Seeing no objection, it'll be moved to the end of the special orders calendar. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1089.
House Bill 1089 by Representative Young, also Senator Zenzinger, concerning the continuation of the special education services for a student in foster care when the student moves.
Representative Young.
Madam Chair, it is an honor to serve with you.
An honor to serve with you.
I move House Bill 231089, and I move the Public and Behavioral Health and Human Services Committee report.
The
education.
Okay. To the committee report.
Education. Let's start again.
Representative Young.
I move the Education Committee report to the bill.
All right, to the committee report.
To the committee report.
To the committee report.
We passed several amendments in committee after extensive stakeholding with the Special Education Consortium and the education stakeholders. The amendments clarify that facility schools and day treatment schools aren't included as a school of origin. The amendments also include clarifying language around schools of origin. As a result of the stakeholding, it became clear that there were a number of other issues impacting the success of foster youth. And an amendment establishes a working group to identify and develop written recommendations about foster youth education, transportation, and stability. This group will give us vital information about barriers foster youth are facing in having a successful education leading to high school graduation and a successful post-secondary career.
Is there any further discussion of the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the committee report to House Bill 1089. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee report is adopted. To the bill, Representative Young.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As we know, the graduation rates of students in foster care are shamefully low, roughly 30% as compared to 82% of the general population. This bill is addressing one difficulty encountered by youth recently placed in foster care who are in special education programs. When youth are placed in out-of-home placement, the school that they were attending before the change of placement is the school of origin. The school of residence is the school in the district where they reside in out-of-home placement.
Members, it's a bit loud in here. Would you keep the volume down a little bit? Thank you.
Currently, the statute is not clear about who is responsible for funding special education services for youth attending the school of origin instead of the school of residence. This has led to disruption in service for special education students in foster care. This statute will clarify that the school is a resident, that the child is a resident of the school of origin rather than the school of residence. This will ensure that students will continue to get access to the already determined appropriate special education services they need. This continuity will lead to better educational outcomes for foster youth, ensuring a greater probability they will graduate. I urge and I vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1089. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is adopted. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to Senate Bill 150.
Senate Bill 150 by Senators Roberts and Will, also Representatives Froelich and Frizzell, concerning a requirement that certain persons label disposable wipes.
Representative Froelich.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 150 and ask for an aye vote.
To the bill. Representative Frizzell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 150 is definitely not the most exciting piece of legislation ever heard in this chamber, but it is really important. I mean, who doesn't like wipes for pipes, right? But did you know that over 90% of disposable wipes manufactured are petroleum-based and not compatible with residential plumbing or our wastewater treatment facilities? This bill is aimed to educate consumers and encourage appropriate disposal, which, as it turns out, is not down the toilet.
Representative Froelich.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, you may think that this bill is not important, but you would be wrong. So we ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 150. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill passes. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1225.
House Bill 1225 by Representatives Degree, Kennedy, and Dixon, also Senator Jaquez Lewis, concerning the Prescription Drug Affordability Board and in connection therewith, modifying the affordability review process, allowing the board to establish upper payment limits for an unlimited number of prescription drugs, clarifying which board functions are subject to judicial review, authorizing an individual to request an independent external review of a denial of a request for benefits for a prescription drug that has been withdrawn from sale or distribution in the state, and extending the repeal date of the board.
The committee will stand in a brief recess. The committee will come back to order. Representative DeGray Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1225.
That's a proper, to the bill. No, committee
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, House Bill 1225 is an update to the Prescription Drug Affordability Board bill passed 2 years ago. And that's all I have to say at the moment.
Representative Dixon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As Representative DeGray Kennedy said, or as my colleague from Lakewood said, this bill is an update to a bill from a couple of years ago. It basically makes some administrative changes that the Department of Insurance has been really requesting to make sure that the Prescription Drug Affordability Board is able to operate as they need to, and it makes some really important changes so that they're actually able to help Coloradans afford the prescription drugs that they need to survive and to live their lives with a high degree of quality. So we are very excited to bring this bill and look forward to debate.
Representative DeGray Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Amendment L11, and we will give the packet to the clerk's desk right now.
Okay, that's a proper motion. Amendment L11 is displayed. Rep. DeGray Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This amendment represents some negotiations we've been having with pharmaceutical manufacturers over the course of the last several days. We wanted to make sure we address some of their concerns about uncertainty, making sure that they could plan ahead. So what this amendment does is it adjusts the criteria that are used to determine whether whether a drug would be subject to an affordability review. And we ask for your support.
Is Representative Dixon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to talk a little bit more about what this amendment does. So as my colleague said, it basically changes some of the criteria that allows a drug to be considered by the Prescription Drug Affordability Board, or PDAB, which is much easier to say. And basically it says that there used to be this provision that said that any drug could be referred to the board and could be considered for a potential affordability review because it poses potential affordability challenges. However, upon many conversations with different stakeholders, and especially stakeholders in the pharmaceutical and drug making space and the drug delivery space, we've heard many concerns that that particular clause might make it difficult for them to get funding for new drug development, for manufacturing, for all of those things. And so this is a fix that we have come up with to try to allow them to maintain access to those financing channels and those abilities to kind of figure out what they want to do with their pricing strategy without having this constant fear of being subject to this PDAB without having any way to control that. So that is what this amendment does, and we ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Yes, Rep. Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I appreciate that lines 27 on page 4 and lines 1 and 2 on page 5 are being struck out of the bill with this amendment. This type of catch-all phrasing that was included in the bill makes it very difficult for pharmaceutical companies to have any sort of idea of what's going to be subjected to the PDAB board or the price-setting board. And being able to get rid of that is really important, so I appreciate that. I also want to say that being able to have a 2-year delay on the new requirements for what's going to be included is also important, because there's a lot of new things here. And let's not forget that the PDAB board, the Prescription Drug Affordability Board, has yet to review a single drug. And already we're making changes. So being able to delay the new changes that are being added to a policy that has yet to come into force at least makes sense. So I support this amendment and thank the bill sponsors.
Is there any further discussion of L011? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of L011. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is adopted. To the bill. Is there any further discussion? No on the bill. Rep. Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So members, while I appreciate the amendment that was just offered, overall, I'm against the bill, and I'll tell you why. So the prescription drug affordability bill was one that I heard in committee, the original version back in 2021, that was Senate Bill 175. And the board was to review 12 pharmaceutical drugs that are the most expensive in Colorado, and to be able to review them for telling hospitals the upper limit price that they would pay to be able to purchase that. What's not included in PDAB's authority is if you're part of a large multi-state drug purchasing plan. So if you're a small hospital, the upper price limit would be that upper limit that you would have to pay unless you're part of a large purchasing organization. And what that means is that Coloradans, particularly in rural Colorado, but all over Colorado, if they needed certain pharmaceuticals that are subject to the upper limits as set by the PDAB board, you might not be able to get those in that particular healthcare facility. So you might have to go out of state. You might have to go to another healthcare facility that is part of a group purchasing. So the ability to actually do what is being envisioned here is limited. And the only people that the bill is going to hurt is going to be Coloradans who need certain drugs. Like I said, the original legislation, Senate Bill 175 from 2021, it limited it to 12 drugs. We're now expanding it to an unlimited number of drugs in this bill. So that's the first major change. The original legislation had a very tight sunset in 2026 to be able to review the legislation, and if it was effective, expanded it to 2031. So what that means is that no one currently in this body will be around to review the legislation or have any institutional knowledge. And if we're going to have a sunset, it's important that we do it in such a time frame that at least there can be some members still around who have a little bit of an institutional knowledge of what was said, what was discussed. Because like I said, I was around in 2021 when we heard the original legislation. I just so happened to still be around to have heard the tweaks and changes that we're making in this particular bill. And we're making changes in law before the original policy has yet to come into force. The Prescription Drug Affordability Board has yet to set an upper price limit on any pharmaceutical. As a matter of fact, they have yet to review any pharmaceuticals, period. So if they have yet to review any pharmaceuticals out of 12, what makes us think that now is the good time to expand it to being an unlimited number? We should let policy play out before we start changing it. This is like changing the goalpost in a football game. Before you even get down to the end zone, moving that goalpost either inwards or outwards, whichever analogy you like better. But we're changing the rules before anything has actually happened yet, and that's what's frustrating about this bill. We should allow industry and Coloradans and the state as a government to be able to see how this policy is working before we start changing. I would like to see how 12 drugs would have done with an upper price limit before we come back and say, maybe we ought to expand it to being an unlimited number of drugs. And that's why this particular bill is flawed. The rate of change is concerning in policy. Change is inevitable. And we're going to have new ideas, we're going to have new ways of doing things, we're going to learn from other states and other nations. But the rate of change makes it very difficult for Coloradans to know what to expect. And Coloradans who were already gearing up for 12 drugs, rules under which these drugs would be rated, and then possibly subjected to an upper price limit. They're getting ready for those rules coming into force. And before they come into force, now we're changing those rules. It's unfair, it's inequitable, and it's unjust. And I would ask for a no vote.
Rep. Puglisi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I testified against this bill 2 years ago when I was just a normal person following the legislature. I don't know how normal that is in reality, but the reason that I was following this particular bill is because my daughter's medications, a lot of them have been experimental. They're very expensive. One of her injections costs $100,000. So I really appreciate what you're doing to work with pharma. That is really expensive and really hard. But what I'm afraid of is the unintended consequences of the manufacturer just not making it anymore if there's a cap on it. And then she would not have access to the drugs that she needs. My cousin, I have a very large Italian family in Italy, and while this is a rare genetic disorder, I had a mutated gene, and my ex-husband had a mutated gene that mutated together in my daughter, which had kind of exponential effects on her. And my cousin's daughter has the same thing in Italy. And he doesn't have any access to any medication there. The government wouldn't approve them having access. And I don't want to see that happen here. And so that is my issue with the bill. I really just wish the board, I didn't want the board to go into effect to begin with, so I can't stand up here and say thank you for your amendments, although I do appreciate the work that you've put into it. I think it takes us down a slippery slope of unintended consequences for people like my daughter who needs these medications. So I just want to say that on the record, but thank you.
Is there any further discussion of House Bill 1225? Seeing none, the question before us, Rep. Puglisi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry, I have one amendment that I wanted to put forward and ask for it to be displayed. It's
Rep, can you move your amendment?
yes, I move L012 to House Bill 1225 and ask that it be displayed.
That's a proper motion, and your amendment is displayed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, I really don't think that we need this prescription drug affordability board in Colorado and this amendment would strike the enactment clause. Thank you.
Okay, is there any further discussion of L012? Rep. Degree Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We ask for a no vote.
The question before us is the amendment of L012. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The noes have it. The amendment is lost. To the bill, is there any further discussion of House Bill 1225? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1225 as amended. All those in favor say aye. All those in favor say no. That bill passes as amended. And the Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
And that's a proper motion. The committee will rise and report.
The House will come back to order. Mr. Schiebel, please read the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Madam Speaker, your Committee of the Whole begs leave to report it as under consideration the following attached bills, being the second reading thereof and making the following recommendations thereon. House Bill 1089 is amended, 1224 is amended, 1225 is amended, passed on second reading and ordered, engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 150 passed on second reading and ordered, revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage.
Representative Dixon. The motion before us is that the House adopt the report of the Committee of the Whole. There are no amendments at the desk. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Catlin. Representatives Frizzell and Holtorf are excused. Please close the machine. With 44 ayes, 16 no, and 5 excused, the report of the Committee of the Whole is adopted. Madam Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to proceed out of order for consideration of Senate amendments to House bills.
Seeing no objection, we will proceed out of order for consideration of Senate amendments to House bills. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1004.
House Bill 1004 by Representative Velasco, also Senator Gonzalez, concerning requirements regarding the language used in certain insurance documents.
Representative Velasco.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I concur with the amendment. And the amendment addresses some lingering concerns expressed by the insurance industry, with the word interface to make sure that it includes websites and apps. And the amendment makes it clear that if the insured who is not given the proper form is entitled to receive the excluded coverage for the first policy period without cost.
Representative Velasco, thank you. I'll ask you that you restate the motion and say that you move that the House concur.
I move that the House concur with the Senate amendment
to House Bill 1004. Excellent. Seeing no further discussion, members, the motion before us is to concur with Senate amendments on House Bill 1004. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote.
Green button, green button.
Representative Harrod is excused. Please close the machine. With 43 ayes, 17 no, and 5 excused, the motion to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1004 is adopted. Representative Holtorf, there were bids. 2,000, I think, was the last number I heard on the fine that you now owe. We'll go with a whopping $10. Thank you. All right. Mr. Schiebel, please read. Oh. Sorry, Madam Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move for the repassage of House Bill 1004 as amended.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before the House is the repassage of House Bill 1004 as amended. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representatives Garcia and Wilson. Please close the machine. With 43 ayes, 17 no, and 5 excused, House Bill 1004 as amended is adopted. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1031.
House Bill 1031 by Representative Story and Wilford, also Senator Winter F., concerning an exemption for mental health professionals from requirements to report information about individuals with a sexually transmitted infection to public health entities.
Representative Wilford.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the House concur in Senate amendments to House Bill 1031. And we do have our own turkey.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The amendment would clarify which professionals who are not engaged in testing and diagnosing a patient with a sexually transmitted infection, that those individuals are not exempt from this bill. So just clarification language. And I would ask for a yes vote. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before us is to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1031. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Mr. Speaker Pro Tem Degree Kennedy. There we go. Please close the machine. With 49 aye, 11 no, 5 excused, the motion to concur with Senate amendments on House Bill 1031 is adopted. Madam Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move for the repassage of House Bill 1031 as amended.
The question before us is the repassage of House Bill 1031 as amended. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 43 ayes, 17 no, 5 excused, House Bill 1031 as amended is adopted. Mr. Schiebel, co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1011.
House Bill 1011 by Representatives Titone and Weinberg, also Senators Henriksen and Marchman, concerning a requirement that an agricultural equipment manufacturer facilitate the repair of its equipment by providing certain other persons with the resources needed to repair the manufacturer's agricultural equipment.
Representative Tatone.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm going to exercise my right to repair the Senate amendments. Since this bill goes where no one has gone before, Madam Speaker, I move that the House reject the Senate amendments to House Bill 1011 and that a conference committee be appointed with permission to go beyond the differences of the House and the Senate. And while we're at it, maybe we'll fix the Ferengi and the Klingon too, while we're going back here.
Thank you, Representative Tatone.
Just play along. Just play along.
Would either of our representatives like to explain or expand? Representative Tatone.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So we had a bunch of different issues that came up with the Senate amendments. There were a few things that came up on third reading of the bill in the Senate on the dealership definition, and we would like to put severance, the severability in the bill as well. Since this is a new policy, we want to make sure that it's going to be able to stand up to any test that goes for it. And then we have a few issues with the Senate amendments as well on the parts and just a few tweaks that need to be done. We're working with the stakeholders on both sides of the issue.
Representative Weinberg.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And we've never done a conference committee, so we really want to do that.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Representative Holtorf.
Oh, God dang it. Thank you, Madam Speaker. When this bill went to the Senate, they did some very important work on the bill. The things that Senate did actually brought me to a yes, which should surprise you. But now, I may have to default to my original position because of that. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before the House is to not concur with the Senate amendments and that a conference committee be appointed for House Bill 1011 and that they be given permission to go beyond the scope of the differences between the two houses. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 44 ayes, 16 no, and 5 excused, the motion is adopted. Members, the conference committee, conferees appointed for House Bill 1011 will be Representatives Tatone, Weinberg, and Woodrow, with permission to go beyond the scope. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1001.
House Bill 1001 by Representatives Kipp and McLaughlin, also Senator Zenzinger, concerning expanding financial assistance for educator programs.
Representative Kipp.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We move that the House concur with the Senate amendments.
Sorry. Please proceed. Representative McLaughlin.
Yes, the Senate made some technical corrections, and we're not sure why they made these technical corrections, but they don't really do anything to the bill, so we've decided just to keep it. Is that about right?
That's about right.
Representative Kipp.
Exactly.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before us is to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1001. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 52 aye, 8 no, and 5 excused, the motion to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1001 is adopted. Madam Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move for the repassage of House Bill 1001 as amended.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before the House is the repassage of House Bill 1001 as amended. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 45 aye, 15 no, and 5 excused, House Bill 1001 as amended is repassed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Madam Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to lay over House Bill 1030 until tomorrow.
House Bill 1030 will be laid over until tomorrow. Madam Majority Leader. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1037.
House Bill 1037 by Representatives Martinez and Puglisi, also Senator Gonzalez, concerning awarding earned time to nonviolent offenders who complete an accredited higher education program.
Assistant Minority Leader Puglisi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I hope I do this right. I move that we concur with the Senate amendments. Thank you.
Please proceed. Representative Martinez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So what these amendments did, it was really continuing the stakeholding process as we continued through this process. So one of the big things was working with the Department of Corrections and initially being able to not being able to resolve like the funding formula. So what Department of Corrections has decided was saying, hey, I think that all the funding needs to go to the higher education institutions that are offering these because they can expand these courses a lot quicker and more expansive than what we can do. So that was at their request. And the second amendment that we have with this is in regards to making sure that they don't get overwhelmed. So we all know Department of Corrections right now is about 1,600 staff members short. We didn't want to see them getting completely inundated with requests from colleges to operate in their facilities. So what this does is right now there's 4 colleges that operate in DOC facilities and have been approved. What this does is it says that there are 6 colleges that are able to operate and reviewing at 5 years. And that way, if at 5 years DOC says, hey, this is something we want to continue to expand, we can. Or if they're saying we're at capacity, that's fine too. So we concur.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before us is to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1037. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 59 aye, 1 no, and 5 excused, House Bill 1030, the motion to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1037 is adopted. Madam Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move for the repassage of House Bill 1037 as amended.
Members, the motion before us is the repassage of House Bill 1037 as amended. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 57 aye, 3 no, and 5 excused, House Bill 1037 is repassed as amended. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Does that bring us to the end of Senate amendments? Thank you. Members, further announcements and introductions. Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In my mind, I was hearing "Run, Forrest, Run" as I was coming down here. I want to remind everybody the Veterans Caucus is going to go downstairs to 109. We're going to have, I believe, 3 or 4 presentations, 3 minutes each. They're very important. Representative Ortiz has some very important work that we're going to focus on the long bill budget coming up, and then we're going to start developing our 2024 priorities. So please come down and join us. I know there's a lot of committee work. I know we're a little behind. We're going to try to really work through this really fast, and hopefully we can have some grace. And I'll have to go to Ag for a presentation of a bill, so I'm going to have to leave Representative Ortiz with all the hard work.
Thank you. Announcements, Representative Froelich will replace Representative Degree Kennedy on finance for today only. Representative Vigil will replace Representative Lindsay on the Agriculture, Water, and Natural Resources Committee for today only. And Representative Dixon will replace Representative Martinez on the Agriculture, Water, and Natural Resources Committee for today only. Representative Froelich.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just a quick announcement that the Transportation, Housing, and Local Government Committee will not meet tomorrow.
Thank you, Representative Froelich. Seeing no additional announcements or introductions, Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to lay over the balance of the calendar until tomorrow.
Seeing no objection, the balance of the calendar will be laid over until tomorrow. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the House stand in recess until later today.
Seeing no objection, the House will stand in recess until later today.